welcome to the very first episode of Women in iGaming. My name is Alessia, brand manager of Night Rush, and I am excited to introduce today incredible guests. First, we have Jana Manukyan, project manager at Hybrid Interaction, who has been at the forefront of leading projects in the iGaming space. And Jana, welcome. Could you share with us your journey into iGaming and what led you your current role at Hybrid Interaction?
Yes, so first of all, hi, and thanks for having me. As you already mentioned, I'm a project manager at Hybrid Interaction, and to be honest, my journey into iGaming actually started completely by accident. I imagined myself in many different positions in many different industries, but iGaming really wasn't one of those. It just wasn't something that ever crossed my mind. So before starting my job at Hybrid Interaction, I was actually studying at university and doing freelance content writing. And it was a good first job, and it also gave me a lot of opportunities to learn things. Because in order to write about a topic, you have to do research and learn about it before being able to write anything. So it helped me to be familiar with many different topics, but after a while it became quite unstable. Some months I had a lot of work, some months I didn't have any work. So this created a lot of stress for me. And I decided that I need to look for a different job. And that's also how I ended up applying at Hybrid Interaction and being at my current position.
Great. And I would like next to introduce Olga Pronak, head of key account management at Everplay, a company known for its innovative approach in game development. Olga has a wealth of experience working closely with key partners and managing major accounts in iGaming. Olga, it's great to have you here. Could you tell us about your experience and how you found your way into iGaming world?
Thank you for having me here. It's really a pleasure for me, the very first episode. Huge honor, actually. So, actually, it was the gaming world who found me. I was open to new opportunities, and they came from EvoPlay. Two amazing women conducted interview with me, and after that, I understood that that was something I wanted to try. By the time I came to EvoPlay, I already had like pretty solid experience in sales and key account management, but on different levels. I used to be a head of sales by that time, and I wanted to try a different direction and maybe someday become a head of key account management department. So here I am.
Starting with the basics, let's talk about your personal journeys. Jana, what sparked your interest in iGaming and how did you get to where you are today?
As I said, I kind of ended up in iGaming by pure chance. When I started looking for a job, at that point, my experience was quite limited to a few internships that I had done and also the freelance content writing I had done. So it wasn't really easy to find a lot of opportunities. I also really wanted to have a job that is remote. And because of that, my opportunities were even limited more. So I ended up in a position where I was just applying to every remote position that I saw that was slightly meeting my background. And that's how I kind of ended up at Hybrid Interaction. And the funny thing is that when I saw iGaming in the job description, at that point in time, I didn't really know what iGaming was. In my mind, I thought that iGaming is connected to video games. So I just applied without really thinking too deeply. But of course, after applying, I actually realized that iGaming isn't video games. It's just, and learned more about the industry after it.
That's awesome. And Olga, same question for you. What led you to the iGaming world and how has your career evolved at EvoPlay, particularly in your role as head of key account management?
So, as I mentioned earlier, I entered the gaming industry when EvoPlay invited me, and they invited me to join as a key account manager first. It was like 4 years ago. And now I'm head of department with a team like three times more bigger than it was in even 2024. Of course, during this period, a lot of things happened, both with our partners and around the world, which actually resulted even more changes inside the company, which maybe were not planned at the beginning. You know, every position I had in this company had its own challenges. Like it was something external, internal, personal challenges as well. But when I came ahead of department, I had so many inspirations and ideas that they could barely think about anything else other than work. EvaPlay is super interesting company. EvaPlay is constantly growing, and it gives growth to every person in it. Over the last years, we have changed so many things. We have started implementing new strategies, ideas, and work with partners across different teams, not only like my team. And now we continue to develop and improve these initiatives. So I would say that even apply with all these changes, it like encourages you to grow faster than you even could. So if you want and if you have this potential and ideas which you want to implement and make live, you can have it here.
The iGaming industry is traditionally male dominated, though that's changing. Jana, can you speak to some of the challenges you faced as a woman in this industry and how you've overcome them?
It's actually funny when you say male dominated because at Hybrid Interaction, we are female dominated. Most of my
Oh,
coworkers, yes, most of my coworkers are actually women. It's probably due to luck that I ended up in a position where I haven't really faced any challenges because of being a woman. I know that my experience isn't really standard. I know that a lot of women face a lot of challenges in the industry or in any industry in general. And I have also faced challenges in my life in general. But yeah, luckily, I haven't had any issues as a woman at my current job.
that's very interesting that most of in your company are women. And Olga, as someone working closely with key accounts and partners, what are some of the challenges you've encountered, and what advice would you give to women looking to break into iGaming?
You know, when you work in the key account management department, challenges, this is just a part of your everyday routine. And that's why you don't treat them as challenges. You treat them like another interesting case to solve, like another task. And that's much healthier actually for your mental state. So what is interesting that these cases are always different. Like every day I have something new which I didn't have before, even though I have already pretty solid experience in work with partners. And I do understand that every next one may be even more challenging. And I guess that even if I start telling you about them, we'll just run out of the time. But based on my experience, there is one thing which helps in all these processes and in all these challenges. Super simple: communication. Communication is the key to solve everything in all possible meanings. There is an interesting fact which most of people, I believe, don't know. But did you know that more than 80% of problems which arise, we can just solve with simple explanation of the situation which we had? Like it's really simple thing to do, but a lot of people don't use it. So I guess this is something that helps, of course, understanding of that process, and we always solve everything. Advice. One advice I would like to give: don't be afraid to talk and to share your bright thoughts and ideas. It really makes difference. A lot of people think that it doesn't, but it does. Maybe not today, but tomorrow. Share your thoughts, share your ideas, and it will help you in your way in the gaming.
Perfect. And as a leader, do you think there's a difference between how men and women approach leadership in iGaming? Janna, do you have any thoughts on how your leadership style might differ?
Yes, so I actually noticed that there are some differences in how I approach a situation and how maybe some men might approach the same situation. So, for example, I'm very cautious when I talk about what I can do, what I know. I don't like to be overconfident and present things that maybe don't have a good background. But I noticed that sometimes men like to have this confident energy, even sometimes when it's not backed up by knowledge, by experience. But even though it's not backed up, still this confident image creates confidence in the people who are looking at them and creates trust for their leadership, of course. Um, and makes them seem like more qualified leaders, even though maybe it's not always the case. And of course, this doesn't apply to all women, this doesn't apply to all men. I have seen both situations on both ends, but this is kind of just a tendency that I've noticed that men present themselves a little bit more confidently as leaders.
And Olga, in your role as head of key account management, you likely have to balance relationship management with strategic decision making and something else. How do you approach leadership, and do you think your style differs from any other male counterparts?
First of all, I always try to remember that leadership is not only about giving tasks, right? It's like about mentoring, motivation, highlighting the strengths of each team member, providing support where it's needed, giving clear understanding where we are going and that we are going there together as a team. I would say that leader, this is the person who should balance this emotional health of the team in some way. This is my approach. However, every person is different, and therefore everyone will be different kind of leader, right? And it's natural. And I don't think that it depends on gender, actually. It depends on personal vision, knowledge, experience of each individual. So those are things which has much bigger impact, I guess, on the leadership.
I do agree. And one thing we hear a lot is the importance of women supporting women in the workplace. Jana, do you actively mentor or support other women in your company or the iGaming industry? If so, how?
So yes, of course, when we get new hires, as someone who already has a certain level of experience, sometimes I get the opportunity to involve them in my work, to help with training them, to share my experience and knowledge with them. But it's also not just with new hires. As I mentioned, most of my coworkers are women, and all of us are project managers and we work at the same company. But still, our experiences are not always exactly the same. Depending on what projects we work on, sometimes we work with different tools. Maybe there is a tool that I have more experience in, maybe there is a tool that my colleague has more experience in. So we always like to support and mentor each other whenever there is an area where one of us has more experience. And I think this is actually great because it makes sure that I'm not only limited to my experiences, to my knowledge, but then if it's necessary, I can also kind of tap into the knowledge and experiences of my colleagues, and hopefully they can do the same and rely on me and my mentorships if it's necessary.
That's very nice.
Yeah, it is. And Olga, do you think the concept of mentorship and support among women is growing within iGaming? And how do you see maybe it's impacting the industry in long term?
Yeah, I can definitely see this, that especially during the conferences. And LinkedIn often shows me many industry events with only women participating. And of course, I guess that's important to support each other because gambling has traditionally been known as a man's world, right? And although this is changing, cultures are different. And there are still countries where men and women are treated so differently, like our days. That's why we can see progress, but it's not moving as fast as we would like it to move. I believe it's even more important to support each other behind the scene, not on the conference or on some events. But this is the way which attracts attention, like to show it on some events, and this is great. And if we're talking about the future, I believe we'll see more and more women in gaming, which definitely makes me happy.
Perfect. And I really love this approach within us women when we meet, when we just have a small talk. It feels so like easy and
Yeah.
overwhelming sometimes. And both of you are at the helm of pivotal roles in your companies. Jana, can you speak to some of the challenges you faced managing projects in iGaming and how you've tackled them?
I think the biggest challenge that I had was when I moved from a more supporting role to actually managing my own projects. For me, that change happened kind of very, very sudden. Based on circumstances, I had to suddenly manage 3 projects. So before I was just helping with projects, and then the next day I had to manage 3 projects suddenly. And of course, these projects also required learning about the relevant tools, learning about the relevant skills that these projects need, which wasn't really always smooth sailing. There were challenges, there were mistakes that I had, but this was one of the challenges that kind of accelerated my learning, accelerated my experiences, and brought me closer to where I am now. So it ended up being a very helpful challenge.
Interesting. And Olga, managing key accounts requires an in depth understanding of both businesses and client needs. What do you believe makes a successful partnership in iGaming today?
There are so many things that create successful partnership, like a lot. Some of them are pretty obvious, like having a reliable product, being trustworthy and efficient partner. But I guess I would like to highlight those which are not always on top of mind when you think about it, even though I believe that they can make huge difference. And first of all, one of the most important, and as for me actually, this is attention to details. And here I would like to give you one interesting example. Um, Imagine you open a shop in a mall and you have amazing goods and your shop is already popular. People want to find you because like they know that you have quality things and everything is great. But the mall where is the shop is huge. And the shop is located somewhere near the last entrance and it's not marked on the mall map and you didn't include the location of the shop on your social media page. How many people will find this shop? Probably fewer than we would like it, right? And it looks like you did all the important things. You have amazing products, great quality, you have chosen a popular mall. But because you didn't share the location of your shop, it's still hard to find it, right? So adding of the location to your social media page seems like so small detail, which is so not necessary, but it makes so big difference, real difference. So when we think about our partners and success, we need to remember that details matters. Another thing is communication. And yes, you might say that this is like totally basic stuff everybody knows, but the meaning people put in the word communication can be so different. Some people will think of, let's say, tone of voice and the frequency of your communication. Others will think about sharing information and updates or responding quickly in chats or something like that. But communication is much more than that. And every aspect of it extremely important. And people should go much deeper to meaning of this word communication and understand that. And of course, consistent improvements in any part of the partnership. Because it's like your relations with people you care, with a boyfriend or girlfriend, or we live in a modern world, if you care, you need to maintain them, right? And then they will last long and happy. This is exactly the same.
I do agree because, for example, yesterday I had my dog brought to the groomer, to a new one, and I couldn't find them. I had to call them to find them. So they would like give me instructions how to find them because I was like circling around and I never found them. So they like guided me, and I'm like, wait, you have social media. Why can't you just make a quick video how to find you, or just on a map, something like at least something.
So
Yeah,
simple,
so
right? Like small
yeah,
details, so simple, but
small,
people
very, very
just
small.
people just don't
Yeah,
take.
and at night rush, for example, I see that when you treat your partner's clients with a personal approach, with like personal investment in them, like you would want yourself to be treated. You see the reward of it. You see how they value your partnership, how they want to fastly answer, find a solution.
Exactly.
Yeah, small things matter more.
Yeah, 100% true. But like the world teaches us to put priorities on top stuff, right? But actually, everyone can do that. Like we have in the industry so many competitors, right, these days. And most of them are doing pretty good products and they're pretty competitive themselves. So then what makes difference? If we have hundreds of say companies, what makes difference? Attention to details. That's it.
Yep, that's it. True. And the iGaming industry can be demanding with its fast paced and constant change. Jana, how do you manage to balance the demanding nature of your role with personal time and well being?
So, because my work is actually on a remote basis, it actually helps a lot. For me, the flexibility that it gives me is very, very important. The fact that I can travel tomorrow anywhere, and as long as I have my laptop and I have internet, I can still continue my work. That's very, very important to me. Of course, remote work also comes with some disadvantages. Sometimes you feel like you have to always be available, even if it's after working hours. When you get the notification, a message on your laptop, you still feel like you have to do it, especially if you're not really doing anything else that's productive at the time. So it's sometimes difficult to cut this work time and personal time. But for me, this trade off with the flexibility is still worth it. And I feel like this flexibility is also something that allows me to keep up with the industry and to keep up with the changes and to keep up with my personal time and also well-being.
Perfect. And Olga, I think the same question for you from your experience. What strategies have you used to maintain a healthy work life balance while managing the team and being in a leadership position?
I'm laughing because, just to be honest, I'm still looking for my best work-life balance formula. I don't know, like we have so many things, always something new, but there are still stuff that helps me. Like what helps me is understanding of myself. And this is how I can build my own priorities. I know what brings me joy. I know what takes my energy away and it what gives me energy as well. I also know that switching from work mode to sport mode will help me to distract myself from constantly thinking about the work, let's say. And I also know that I'm the kind of a person who can't fully relax unless I find the answer to all questions I need today. So when you understand your personality pretty well, right? The next step is to answer the question, what do you really want in this life? And then build your routine around it. Because sometimes actually people want to be busy, right? And to have this load. Because when you are super excited about something, you don't want to waste even a moment of your time. And it gives you energy. And sometimes you need to understand how to relax because the problem of most of people that they actually don't know what is relaxation. Even when they go on vacation or something like that, they do not relax actually. So understanding of your own body, of your own mental health, what helps you and what takes your energy away, as I said before, it's crucial here, I believe. and then you can make your own formula, not just the formula from the internet or from somebody else. Just create your own.
Agree. And as we see more women rise in leadership roles, what specific opportunities do you, Jana, think exist for women entering the iGaming space today?
I think there are actually many opportunities for women in iGaming. The industry is always growing, is always evolving, and iGaming isn't just really one specific job. It combines a lot of different aspects: technology, product development, analytics, design, operations. And because there are so many different aspects that go into iGaming, there are also different entry points that women can use to get into the industry based on their interests, based on their background. So I feel like there are many opportunities for women to start and build strong careers and move into leadership positions if they're interested in. Another advantage, I think, in iGaming is that a lot of companies operate internationally, and sometimes this also gives the opportunity to work on a remote or hybrid basis, and this makes it more accessible for professionals to enter into the industry.
I agree. And Olga, what advice would you give to younger women who are considering a career in iGaming, especially in the leadership roles?
Find your recipe for staying calm and energetic. Because everything around you will change quickly and not always in a way you would like it to be. To find the best solutions in every situation, you need to you need to keep your mind sharp, right? In any difficult or stressful situation. And you need to have energy to keep going, motivate your team, let's say, and just to find new ways to reach to the goal you have. So this is my advice, and and maybe find your favorite drink. You will need it.
We all need it. There are a lot of emerging trends in the iGaming space right now, such as esports, VR, casinos, and blockchain integration. Jana, what trends are you most excited about, and how do you think they will shape the future of iGaming?
I'm personally not a blockchain enthusiast, even though I can see the opportunities that it opens for iGaming, and I can also see a lot of casinos that are making use of blockchain. But I personally am more excited about VR. I think one of the main differences between traditional land-based casinos and online casinos is the social aspect. When you go into a real casino, land-based casino, you always have the opportunity to interact with people, to have this like social feeling that you get, which you can't really have in online casinos. And I think VR can be an opportunity to kind of overcome that, to not make it like you and your screen, but also create a social interaction that you have with other players and make it and take it beyond just gambling and make it a lot more fun for users.
And of course, if people don't like to be on the side of the socialization part when you have to speak to a person like personally sitting to you, right to you, it also I think will bring benefit for every player who will have this opportunity to play on VR casinos. Yeah. And
100%.
oh, yeah, sorry.
Yeah, just wanting to say that 100% agree with you. More opportunities for everyone.
Yeah, true. And Olga, looking at the emerging trends in iGaming, such as the rise of mobile gaming, personalized experience, and the integration of AI, how do you think these developments will shape the future of the industry? What key trends should iGaming professionals be paying attention to?
I believe AI will be used in many aspects actually of our work, like analytics, game development, or the most popular now, improving of the personal user experience. However, I think that for players, everything will mostly look the same as it does now. I mean, in terms of game UX, because players are generally quite conservative when it comes to games. We also see these trends like gamification lately, And we see it now that gamification is more relevant to markets where players are more progressive. Other markets are still not familiar with the gamification at all. So I believe that this is more a trend of using AI now for developers, creators in companies. Most likely, we will use AI to understand players better and provide them with more of the things they like. However, for the player, it will look almost the same as it does. We will simply give him better offer, like we will offer him more relevant and exciting content for him. And actually, I guess this is the goal, right?
But speaking of developers, for example, you are a provider and you develop games, let's say so. How do you feel about using AI for some models, like real people, but AI generated? Will it
Real
be like trending, or should it be used or banned?
In some countries, it might be banned. Actually, this is the case with the AI because some countries have restrictions about using AI in technologies right now because it's not too understandable and regulated. There is no one solution which we can use for different companies, right? AI, this is the thing which every company will use in different way. And basically what we do, we are doing, I mean, what companies usually do to use AI, they are creating just some solutions, technical apps or something else, some technologies based on AI technology. So it means that it's super different for everyone. And that's why probably in terms of game development itself, we'll have some restrictions here. So I don't think that it's going to be super popular all around the world. But we can use AI, as I said, in other spheres like analytics, right? Or user experience. What does it mean? We can understand, create some technology to understand when the player would like to leave the game, when the player would like to play in the game, which game he wants to play, what is the frequency of the play, how often he comes, how often he goes. So basically, all these things, they are already on a track. And there are some programs which can track all this information and give it to us, but it's much more complicated. AI make it all simple. AI can check the pattern, AI can check everything, and it will help us to create a character of a player for each market, which is super important. But inside the game, if we're gonna use it, probably right now it's more no than yes. I believe that one thing where we can use it is design, let's say, because it's not something that can harm or anything. And I don't think that there should be some specific regulations of markets about it. But if it's about technical stuff, then there will be some regulation requirements. And that's why now providers will be careful with that.
I would like actually to hear one of your personal stories about the time when you faced a major setback and how you bounced back.
You know, I have this really special approach, which I was creating and building. I don't know if it's on my own or not. I believe some other people do the same, but I came to that by my own some years ago. So usually when something unpleasant happens, I just think about like just an experience, nothing more. Of course, it can bring you unpleasant feelings, and there are a lot of cases which can bring some consequences, of course, but it's just an experience. This experience had different factors, right? Um, I usually trying to analyze my past and ask myself ask some questions like, could I do something different in that moment? Yes, probably I could, but maybe not in those circumstances, not with the experience I had. Can I change something for the future? Yes, of course, I can change something for the future. Can I learn a lesson from that? Yes, definitely, I can. So basically, I always try just to analyze what happened and how I can influence that in the future, what I could change for the future, and where is the zone where I can't make a change. Because a lot of situations, they are not under our control, right? There are so many things happening in other people's heads and just around the world, and you can't predict that. So probably most of, like, let's say in percents, more than half of percents what happened, it was not even your impact, not your influence, it was just circumstances. So why you should be super upset about it? Yeah, you can be upset for some time, but just give yourself a time, let's say, and then move on. So this is my approach, and this is how I can bounce back.
Okay.
Otherwise, if I would treat all those cases like something which is not possible
Terrible.
to solve, yeah, I don't think that I would be here today. And like the work of head of key account management department is mostly about solving issues and problems. You can go deeply in them and you can stuck in them if you don't have this approach. It's just an experience, it's just a situation, nothing more.
True. And Jana, what about you?
Yeah, I completely agree with that. And I think one major setback that I had was when I realized that the way that I do something is not always the correct way. Because I entered the industry from zero, I learned everything from zero, and I learned how to do things in a very specific way. And I continued to do it the way I learned it. But then there came a time that I realized that it doesn't work anymore, and I need to add on top of that, I need to add my own experience, my own skills on top of what I learned in order to create a new way of how I do things instead of following the standards that I have learned from the very beginning.
If you would ask me, I would say that my biggest problem is that I cannot say no to people. And now I'm learning to say no. Huh?
I'll remember that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I really don't know. I'm so embarrassed when I'm like, I have to say no. I have to, and I'm like, I'm sorry, I have to decline or something like that. And I'm like, oh my God, how does it feel awful? So yeah, now I'm learning to say no when it comes to my personal like values and work related stuff. So yeah, guys, sometimes you will hear from me no.
That's fine. That's good. This is something you learn, right? In
Yeah, I
20,
think everyone should learn to say no.
yeah, maybe somebody already know how to do that, but I remember that for me, let's say 10 years ago, it was a problem as well. It was a problem, but it also helped me because I was always trying to look ways around, to find another solution. So it made another my skill much better, let's say. But yeah, in the end, you need to say no sometimes.
And girls, I would like to also ask you about one thing. What's the one thing you wish you knew when you first started iGaming? Like only one thing,
Oh, that's an interesting question. I actually
Jana.
I actually never thought about it.
No, like really, like going back, for example, when you just started, like maybe some advice, maybe some tip, anything, or just like, just drink it out.
I think, to be honest, there isn't really one thing that I would have liked to know. The first reason is maybe because I don't really like spoilers. But the second reason is because I think I learned everything at the time when I was supposed to learn it. And that learning was kind of backed up with the experience. I think if there was any piece of information that I know from the very beginning that wasn't rooted in that experience, I feel like it wouldn't have really been useful for me. I would have just taken it as some information, but it wouldn't really affect me since I didn't have that experience to like support it.
I believe that I would like to know a secret of success in this industry. But I don't think that anyone at all knows it.
No,
And
there's no special pill for it.
at least there is no one unique formula for everyone. Or at least we just don't know about it yet. Maybe someday in the future.
No, yeah, maybe. But we can all share maybe next year what we achieved and how did we get to it.
Exactly.
Yeah, and before we wrap up, let's leave our listeners with some parting words. Жанна, Olga, what's your message to other women looking to succeed in iGaming?
My message to women would be who want to enter this industry is just to try it out, to look for opportunities, to apply for them, to go for it. I feel like a lot of people, especially women, sometimes they see a job application and they feel like, oh, I only match 80% of the requirements, so I'm not going to apply because I don't match 100%. And my advice would just be to still apply, to still go for it. I think that sometimes it's not really about what you already know, but what you're willing to learn. So if you have the curiosity, if you have the willingness to learn, I think you should just go for it and try, and eventually it will probably work out for you.
100% with this you mentioned applications for jobs and I remember that I was just the same. If I didn't see 100% match, I was like, no, this job is not for me. And it comes to you with the understanding and experience, of course. And that would be great if somebody would tell me that this is not like that. You can try and you can apply, let's say, to tell me that earlier. But in the end, I also somehow understood that it just took some more time. So my advice, um, I would like to say, be curious and keep your mind flexible and open to new things. Industry is changing super fast. I've been working in different industries, like really different directions, and I can tell you that this is the fastest. And I'm sure that those who stay aligned with the situation are the ones who will always stay on the wave.
Yeah, I would say only that don't be shy, be relaxed, try to listen, a lot of try to listen, and try to like get it into you, and then use it on practice.
Very smart.
Yeah. So
Thank
I
you.
would like to thank you so much for being here today and sharing all of your expertise, insights, and personal story. It was very inspiring to hear your stories. And for those who are tuning in, make sure to follow all of us on our social media, follow our work, and that's it for today's episode of Women in iGaming. Stay tuned for more at Night Rush and subscribe to